Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com, and this is another part of deconstructing the matrix by deconstructing the mind, your beliefs, values, and rules. I'm an NLP trainer, certified master practitioner in hypnosis, I'm a master hypnotherapist. There's different levels, but I'm actually a master hypnotherapist. You have to get so many hours in. I'm also a certified master practitioner of timeline therapy, Reiki, Huna, and pranic healing, and a couple other things actually. One being John Overder's training, HNLP. All right, so this is going to be a short video. So when I started training hypnosis, in the beginning, I've got a bunch of different books from the 60s and 70s, or I'd say the 70s and 80s. And then I got involved in the 90s and started going to all these trainings and training in different forms, okay? But the main one that I was trained in was Ericksonian hypnosis. That was the one that I really hooked, that really got me. So here's the deal. One thing that I've noticed was, and they didn't really explain it this way, and I'm going to give a word that I've written down here that I will kind of use and throw out there once in a while, because I'm like, well, we're not actually doing hypnosis. No. Clients would come to me with their problems. Let's take a phobia. A phobia is a trance. That's all it freaking is. Here's what a phobia is. Let's just take your typical spider phobia, right? Let's say there's a tiny little spider, and it's way over there about, let's see, how far is that? It's about 12 feet away, all right? Tiny little spider. A person with a real phobia will freak out. They'll panic. They might even jump up on the table or run out of the room, right? In fact, if you really have a phobia of a frog or a spider, you probably shut this video off, or you're, because I've worked with a lot of people that have real phobias, and one client was like, I can't even talk about it. I'm like, well, because they didn't tell me what their problem was yet. They didn't say, they said, I've got this problem. I'm like, well, what is it? And they wouldn't tell me the phone. Well, I'll tell you in person when they got there. So it took more than 30 or 40. I'm like, well, how can I help you if you won't talk to me about it? I have no idea where we're going with this. And she finally blurted out, it's frogs. And she jumped up on my table and instantly started sweating. And I don't mean like in 5 seconds. I mean, it was like a 1 or 2 seconds, just an instant drenched sweat. And I was like, oh my God, that is real phobia. So yes, we did clear the phobia. Now, here's what I want to talk about. What is hypnosis? What is a phobia? What is a trance? So when it really came down to it, what happened to her was she had stubbed her toe, and it was bleeding. Now, she was a little kid. I think she said she was 4 years old or 5 or 3. And she goes, when you're a little kid, the first time you get cut, you think you're going to die. And the funny thing is, I remember when I had cut my finger, we were all outside playing after dinner, and it was bleeding. It was bleeding pretty, not super bad, but it wasn't like a little bit of tiny drop. It was bleeding. And I remember going, oh my God. And my brother said, what? He goes, my finger. Now, in my mind, I literally thought I had to go to the hospital or I was gonna die because I never saw blood come out of me. And he said, oh, you're going to be fine. And he just ran off because we were like playing dodgeball, or we were hiding. I forget the game, but we were hiding behind this thing. And when he took off, I kind of just, oh my God, for some reason, I think it's because like, oh shit, I didn't die. I guess you don't die. So it was no big deal. But what happened with this client of mine, her dad had it was really just to pacify her. It really didn't do anything for it was a little cut on her foot. She stubbed her toe. And he got like a 5-gallon bucket, or maybe it was a 2.5-gallon bucket, put water in it, put some ice in it. He goes, here, put your foot in there. It'll make it better, just to make her feel better. Well, here's what happened. They put the foot in, and it was bleeding. Well, guess what happened to the water? And she's looking down, and the water's turning freaking red. And she's going, oh my God. And as she's freaking out, her brothers, to be little dickheads that they are or were, and I don't mean that seriously, but it was kind of a dickhead move. They all had caught a frog, and at the same time threw it into the bucket where the blood was, her foot was, and her state of mind was, oh my God, I'm going to die. And they threw it in, and she's like, oh my God. Well, what do you think happened? She made the connection of death to frogs, like a heightened, like emotional, panic, freaking energy, emotion, feeling got connected to the frogs. So I'm not going to go into what I did. What I did is I relinked everything to laughter, to fun, to frogs were cute, and frogs meant happiness and joy. And we re-anchored it, and boom, phobia completely gone. It was a really fun experience. So here's the deal. When she came to me, frogs, her phobia was so bad, she couldn't even say the word And the minute she said the word frogs, she jumped up on my table in an absolute panic. And she's like, ah, and she screamed like, oh my God. She was screaming. The neighbors were like, what's going on over there? And so it was pretty intense, okay? So what I realized that I did was I took her out of her trance. I took her out of that trance, right? So as I kept working with clients, I had another young lady. She was working in Vallejo at an office, and she never had this problem in her life. That was one of the things she goes, I've never had this problem. And I go, what is it? She goes, well, people are starting to talk shit about me. And she goes, before it was like water off a duck's back. And I remember I was like, I don't know, because I already had the answer. And so I'm like, well, what's it like now? She goes, it's like it sticks now. I'm like, so it doesn't slip off anymore? She's like, no, it just like sticks, and it's really eating me up inside. And before it never ate me up. I was like, oh, okay. And so when we walked through it, what happened was something had triggered her to go into a trance of like worrying about what people think about her because someone did something to her. I'm not going to go into depth. All I had to do was take her out of that trance and then put her back in the state of mind, like in her phrase was, it was like water off a duck's back. Anytime someone threw a problem at me or said something bad about me and I heard about it, it was like whoosh, water off a duck's back. It just slipped right off. So we anchored that back in, and that's what happened, okay? So what is hypnosis? Hypnosis really should be called de-hypnosis or un-hypnosis because we're taking people out of their bad trances. Hey, this is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com, your master hypnotherapist, NLP trainer, master practitioner of timeline therapy, and consciousness work and a bunch of other stuff. If you guys need some help, if you need some work, get a hold of me. Go to Mike at MikeColleen.com and check out my website, MikeColleen.com, MikeKollin.com. Remember, click subscribe, click like, make a comment, tell me what's going on. See you guys. Bye.